Imagine for a moment you are praying for the survival of your nation. Your people were exiled from their homeland and forced to live among strangers, strange deities, and participate in unusual practices. You pray for weeks on end with no response from God until one day an angel shows up to deliver a message. But first he tells you that he would have been here much earlier except that the prince of Persia held him captive until the archangel Michael came to his rescue. This is exactly what happened to Daniel during the Israel exile to Babylon. Why is this happening? Actually, the question should be, what exactly is happening here? Why was an angel detained by a prince? Today, we deep dive into the world of the unseen, into the world of the spiritual, and into the world of epic battles that take place over the souls of humanity. We start in Daniel 10. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 weeks. I ate no delicacies, no meat or wine entered my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all for the full 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, that is, the Tigris, I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a man clothed in linen, with a belt of fine gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision. But a great trembling fell upon them, and they fled to hide themselves. Then, jumping to verse 12, we read, Then he said to me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, but Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I was left there with the kings of Persia. This is an incredible story. The angel, sent by God to deliver a message to Daniel, was held for 21 days by the prince of Persia until Michael could set him free. We move to Revelation 12, verse 7. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Here, again, we see that the angels fight each other. They can take each other prisoner and throw each other out of spaces within the spiritual realm. Michael is believed by many to be Jesus. I'm not sure there is enough evidence to persuade me to this understanding, mostly because Michael is called one of the chief princes, indicating that there are many of them, and Jesus is unique and not one of the chief princes. Jesus is God. That said, Michael is one of the chief princes, and thus has higher power and authority than others, it would seem. And we can see that in the text where Michael leads angels in a battle in heaven against Satan and the rebellious angels. Michael also is able to free the angel visiting Daniel and overpower the prince of Persia. But there's the other side of the power dynamic here. The prince of Persia was able to overpower the angel on his way to Daniel. We can see a clear power hierarchy in these texts. Looking at Jude 1 verse 9, we are told the following. But when the archangel Michael, contending with the devil, was disputing about the body of Moses, he did not presume to pronounce a blasphemous judgment, but said, The Lord rebuke you. Here again, we see Michael fighting against Satan himself and winning the battle, and thus preventing Satan from taking control of the body of Moses. This is a topic for a whole video unto itself, however. Michael calls upon the Lord to rebuke Satan. If this were Jesus, it wouldn't have been blasphemous to rebuke Satan on his own, but rather he asked the Lord to rebuke Satan on his behalf. There are 4, maybe 5 angels named in the Bible. If you Google this question, you'll get quite a few answers. Most people can name 3. Those 3 are Michael, Gabriel, and Lucifer or Satan. But there is a 4th which people miss, Azazel, and maybe a 5th, Apollyon or Abaddon. Michael is the only angel explicitly referred to as an archangel in the Bible. He is described as a powerful warrior angel who fights against the forces of evil. Daniel 10 verse 13 and 21, and also chapter 12 verse 1. Michael is depicted as a protector of Israel, engaging in spiritual warfare against the princes of other nations. Jude 1 verse 9. Michael is seen contending with the devil over the body of Moses, emphasizing his role as a defender against Satan. Revelation 12, 7-9. Michael leads the heavenly armies against the dragon, Satan, in the ultimate battle in heaven. Gabriel is not explicitly called an archangel, but is often considered one due to his significant role as a messenger. Daniel 8 and 9. Gabriel delivers important messages to Daniel. Luke 1. Gabriel announces the births of John the Baptist and Jesus. Azazel is only mentioned in the Bible under one context. During the ancient ritual of Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement, a scapegoat was sent to bear the sins of the Jewish people. For this ritual, 2 male goats were chosen, with one designated for the Lord, and the other for Azazel through lots, as described in Leviticus 16 verse 8. However, in the Apocrypha, Azazel, one of the leaders of rebellious angels, as seen in the book of Enoch, Azazel leads other angels to have intercourse with human women, creating the Nephilim. See my video about that for more information. Finally, we come to Apollyon or Abaddon. His name means doom or destruction in Hebrew. His Greek name means destroyer. He's found in Revelation 9 verse 11. Now the real question is this Satan or is this another angel? Many people consider this to be Satan, but there isn't any verse which directly connects the two, so it remains ambiguous. Those are the only angels named in the Bible. Now, there are different kinds of angels noted in the Bible. Seraphim and cherubim are named. Isaiah 6 verses 1 to 7. The seraphim are heavenly beings associated with the presence of God, described as having 6 wings. They are seen above the throne of God, calling out to one another, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." Their role is to worship God and declare his holiness. One of the seraphim purifies Isaiah's lips with a burning coal, symbolizing cleansing and forgiveness. Genesis 3 verse 24. After Adam and Eve are expelled from the Garden of Eden, God places cherubim to guard the way to the tree of life, indicating their role as protectors. Exodus 25 verse 18 to 22. Cherubim are depicted on the Ark of the Covenant, symbolizing God's presence and serving as guardians of his throne. Ezekiel 1 verse 4 to 28 and chapter 10 verse 1 to 22. Ezekiel's vision describes cherubim as having 4 faces, man, lion, ox, and eagle, and 4 wings, moving like flashes of lightning. They carry the throne of God, signifying their role as bearers of divine presence. Revelation 4 chapter 6 to 8. Similar to Ezekiel's vision, these cherubim are around God's throne, worshiping him continually. In Ephesians 6 verse 12, Paul mentions principalities and powers as part of the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms, against which Christians must stand firm using the armor of God. These terms suggest a hierarchy within the spiritual realm. Combining this with Psalms 82, I'll read in a moment, and also Daniel chapter 9, which we read earlier, we can see that certain angels, good or bad, hold positions of power over the nations of the earth. So let's read Psalms 82. God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods he holds judgment. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Give justice to the weak and the fatherless. Maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, "You are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you, nevertheless. Like men you shall die and fall like any prince. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all the nations." Here we see God issuing a rebuke against other gods, lower gods, principalities as they are called by Paul, just like the prince of Persia, which held Gabriel from reaching Daniel. These so-called gods, or divine beings which God is rebuking, are told they failed the nations by not caring for them, and then he tells them that they will die like any man. But why are these gods ruling over nations in the first place? Is there precedent for this anywhere? There is. Let's look at Deuteronomy 32. If you've watched some of my other videos, you may be familiar with this. When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God. But the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob his allotted heritage. He found him in a desert land, and in the howling waste of the wilderness. He encircled him, he cared for him, he kept him as the apple of his eye, like an eagle that stirs up its nest, that flutters over its young, spreading out its wings, catching them, bearing them on its pinions. The Lord alone guided him. No foreign god was with him. Here we have God dividing the nations up at the Tower of Babel. He portions it out, and in Genesis it lists 70 nations plus Israel for God. So God hands over 70 nations to other gods for safekeeping. He keeps Israel for himself. And then later in Psalms, we see God rebuking the other gods for failing to do their job. It's clear here that God appointed watchers over each nation, and they fell and sinned. While we don't have a list of the watchers, included in that list is most likely the prince of Persia, as mentioned in Daniel chapter 9. These are the principalities that Paul warns us against. Each rule over a number of fallen angels and demons. The hierarchy exists and continues to be the method of organization within the ranks of Satan and his hosts today. Colossians 1 verse 16. Paul mentions that all things, including thrones, dominions, principalities, or powers, were created by and for Christ, indicating that these beings originally had a good purpose before some fell into rebellion. Romans 8 verse 38. Paul assures believers that neither angels, nor principalities, nor powers can separate them from the love of God in Christ Jesus, highlighting their limited power in comparison to God's sovereignty. As we journeyed through these passages, we've uncovered a hidden reality, one where angels, demons, and other spiritual beings engage in battles that shape the course of history and impact our lives in ways we may never fully comprehend. The Bible provides us with glimpses into these epic struggles, revealing that the forces of good and evil are not just abstract concepts, but active participants in a cosmic conflict. Michael, Gabriel, the Prince of Persia, and the other principalities we discussed remind us that there is a spiritual dimension to our world, one that operates beyond our physical senses, but is no less real. These beings, whether they serve God or rebel against Him, play crucial roles in the unfolding of God's plan for humanity. As believers, it's vital to recognize the power and authority of God over all these entities. While they may have their roles and influences, none can separate us from the love and protection of our Creator. As Paul assures us in Romans 8:38, no power in heaven or on earth can divide us from the love of God in Christ Jesus. So, what does this mean for us today? It means we must remain vigilant, clothed in the armor of God, and rooted in the truth of His Word. We are not alone in this spiritual battle, for the same God who commanded the hosts of heaven to battle on behalf of His people in ancient times is the same God who fights for us today. Let this truth strengthen and embolden you as you walk in faith, knowing that in the grand cosmic struggle, God's victory is already assured. Thank you for watching, and may you continue to seek and find the deeper truths of the spiritual realm. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more explorations into the mysteries of the Bible. Until next time, stay rooted in the Word, and remember, you are part of a story much greater than you can imagine.